Bitcoin has taken a dive yet again, and the question we're all wondering is this it? Is this the worst case scenario, and is crypto truly doomed to repeat a multi-year bitter, freezing cold bear market? Are we re-entering crypto winter? That is the question of the day and pretty much what everyone wants to know, because it feels like we're in a tale of two cities right now. It is either the best of times, getting the absolute hugest, most magnificent dip on all of the coins that looked so bullish just days ago, or is this the absolute fools, suckers buy-in bull trap that is going to leave us all broke through the bear market? It is a question of whether this is the best possible entry or the absolute last chance that you have to sell your coins. And I'm going to be trying to get to the bottom of this on this video. Again, these are just my own opinions and of course how I'm managing my own stacks through this market. I encourage you as always to do your own research. If you guys are excited for this one, go ahead, destroy that like button. Remember, as always, each and every comment on this video is entered to win your own hardware wallet. As always, there are scammers in the comments pretending to be me. And with that said, let's dive in. So first and foremost, let's turn to Twitter and see what some of the longest and most tested voices in the space are saying. One of the first things we want to turn to here is the stock to flow model. Now, this stock to flow model is interesting because it goes back, and as you can see, the price has mostly stayed within this blue territory, if not gone above it a few times. Now, of course, no one has a problem when things go more drastically to the upside than originally anticipated. But of course, people want to know if things are going to go lower than anticipated. That's a no-no. As you can see here, this model is pretty much held for the last 10 years since Bitcoin has really entered into the stock to flow model territory. And as you can see, the creator, Plan B, said a few months ago, people said the stock to flow model was invalidated, broken, because all models are broken to the upside. Now people think stock to flow is invalidated, broken, and Bitcoin is dead because Elon banning hacking FUD. In my opinion, this is normal deviation like the 2019 bottom or the COVID 2020 bottom. Now, if we look here into this chart and go a little closer, we can see that these bottoms that occurred during, of course, the crash of 2019, the sort of 2019 bottom here at the end of 2018, as well as the COVID crash here, pretty much those were the two most legendary, most incredible opportunities that anyone could have ever had to get into any asset in crypto land. So if this is a comparable moment, and it's certainly looking like this is a somewhat comparable moment just based on this particular model, right? Every model has flaws, but based on this particular model, what we can see is that when things get really close to the bottom of this blue territory, they tend to rally. Now, nothing is perfect and nothing is a guarantee, but again, when you have a model here that's been back tested for 10 years and has been working for 10 years, you can see that these areas here below this blue territory or at the bottom of the blue territory are fantastic, fantastic entries. And where we are right now between Elon Gate and all of the FUD around China, the Trump FUD, the China and India ban FUD, as well as now we got the FBI FUD, it's just a ton of FUD and it's all at once. And so it makes you wonder, was this coordinated? What was the actual way that all of these bad pieces of news can line up? Well, what I do know is that there is continual institutional interest in something like Bitcoin, and the macro landscape is still really, really, really strong. The need for something that is hard capped, non-correlated, and has a stringent monetary policy like Bitcoin, institutional investors are still very desperate to get into this, and really savvy institutional investors, they buy things when they are down, they buy things when they are bloodied. And I still can't really come up with a scenario in which Bitcoin doesn't hold and grow from the $20,000 range. If that is the absolute worst case scenario, seeing the $20,000 range as kind of like the bottom backstop of a really gruesome bearish trend, well, then you're looking at about a 30% downtrend from here for Bitcoin as kind of like your worst case scenario. Whereas if Bitcoin rallies super hard off this and turns bullish again, well, seeing it go up into the hundreds of thousands, you're looking at a very, very nice risk reward setup coming up. It's just my opinion. And looking at this model, of course, looking at how long it's been working, it really does feel as though we're entering into one of those historic points of panic where, of course, if you have the cojones to buy, you'd be in a good place. That's, of course, looking back at this moment in the future, which is really, really hard to do. unless you have a time machine. And we can see here that this is corroborated by Larry Cermak here saying bear posting seems to be back and the market's feeling flimsy. I don't really know what will happen short term, but I just want to say that looking at previous bear markets and thinking that it will be a multi-year one again will almost surely be wrong. Very different dynamic now. He goes on to explain why. But again, I think it's foolish to try to predict exactly what happens through the bear market. I'm just saying when you have these, long-lasting models and you see that you're actually entering into a very rare opportunity here that has never before ceased to be a good opportunity, especially when the macro backdrop, the actually fundamentally strong macro backdrop, continues to improve itself. I don't know. It feels like we might be entering into some magnificent buy zones. Whether or not these rally quickly or whether or not we consolidate around lows for a significant amount of time, I don't know. It seems like it would be pretty good time if you do have capital on the sidelines, start looking at some real capitulation candles to be buying, because I couldn't imagine things going too much lower than 20K. That's my personal opinion. And so the downside risk on something like a Bitcoin seems like it's somewhat capped at like a -30, -40% maybe, whereas you have the upside potential is dramatic and life-changing, quite frankly. We also have Alex Saunders here, who's always a voice of reason, saying now is a good time to buy cryptocurrency. He was saying during February and March that, it feels like we're due for a crash. He had a really nice sort of way of saying, hey, look, things feel really overextended. He's definitely good at calling a counter trend. And that's what he's kind of saying right now. Hey, look, things are really oversold. And that's really what you want to be buying, is when things are oversold. There's also the perspective here brought up by Tyler Reynolds that cash flow alone won't stop great projects from dipping another 70%. Again, another massive crushing dip is totally possible, especially with altcoins. Altcoins are going to get hit super hard until we turn bullish again. However, the reality is that these capitulation candles will make it possible for you to rewind time and actually get into things for when we get bullish again. And that if we dip in this sort of hyperbolic way, in this crazy parabolic downward trend, then what we can see here is that it will most likely exhaust the sellers more quickly, because in the end, there are going to be people who don't sell. I personally will be holding a number of projects regardless. That's just how I do my crypto. I take profits, I put things off to the side, but I don't panic sell things on the way down. If anything, I just take those profits and I look to deploy them at lower levels. I'm a big believer in long-term crypto bullishness. And so for that reason, I do believe that this will happen. I mean, this is just how crypto people are. So if we end up getting another massive spike down, it's like, how many spikes down can you get before the sellers are exhausted? And I think we're starting to get close to that. I mean, we absolutely have to be getting close to that. And so that's what I feel like, is that this really crushing downward trend will hopefully be done soon, because we have to wipe out these panic sellers and these weaker hands sooner than later. And this is an interesting sentiment. That's what I feel is most likely. Again, anything's possible here in crypto land, but this is how I'm seeing the equation. We also have a post here by Charles Hoskinson just pointing out here how you're getting these huge, big, large whales who are dumping massive amounts of Bitcoin all at once in huge buy orders, and that this is dragging the market down. As you can see, essentially this is clearly a manipulative sell that you're seeing here, both of these, because they're huge block sells by huge entities. This isn't like a massive market trend with everybody selling all at once. These are a few big players having hugely damaging candles on the charts. And again, it smells manipulative to me. It feels manipulative. And combined with all the other indicators, the models, the different types of sentiment analysis that we're seeing here, the extreme fear in the industry, it feels to me as though this can only go on so long. And it does feel as though we will hopefully be approaching a macro bottom here soon. And as we've been forecasting for months now, Polkadot is going to begin their Kusama Parachain Auctions on June 15th. That's happening this month in just a few days. And so as you can see, there's a lot of fundamentally strong news coming up and a lot of really exciting things happening here with the deployment of one of the most hotly anticipated ecosystems ever to hit the blockchain. Gavin Wood, the CTO who created Solidity and Ethereum, well, he's now back finally with his first functional chain coming out with Kusama and their Parachain Auctions, a pretty special moment in history here, and I'm very excited to see what could happen next. In the end, this episode is not intended to be hopium, but really my realistic outlook on what could come next. I mean, the downside targets for Bitcoin, yes, they go into the 20s, low 20,000s are definitely possible here. I would be hard pressed to believe that we work our way much lower than that. That's just my personal outlook on things. And so the risk reward ratio here for Bitcoin is starting to look very, very interesting. And if we are able to grind it out here, find support, and kind of work our way up from these lows in the 30,000s, well, that would be, I think, kind of healthy. And the best case for the bulls, I think, would be to consolidate on these lows the same amount of time or more that we consolidated around the highs of 60,000. So that would be a couple of months there. And if we're able to do this throughout the summer, regain our strength, at least just stop these capitulation candles, well, that would be a tremendously bullish outcome for the entire crypto industry. And of course, a lot of stuff will get flushed here. But I personally, once we start getting some firm ground on us, will look to get these life-changing opportunities to get back into these coins. Now, again, could be wrong, and we could be entering into a multi-year bear, but something just doesn't feel that way to me. It hasn't felt like that since we started the collapse. It's felt very, very artificially collapsed, and the industry in general just feels like it still has several more legs of bullishness. This cycle does not feel complete to me. Again, no cycle is exactly like the last, but we didn't see this explosion in altcoins that I think we need in order to really mark the end of the cycle. We didn't see a huge amount of selling of strong-handed older wallets, which I believe we need to mark the end of the cycle. Instead, what we see here is a flush that is primarily affecting retailers. It's primarily affecting smaller hands, and I do believe that we're going to see a huge flush of this retail audience that came in through December and January. And again, the sentiment analysis is so critical here because people are really starting to feel like this is the end of the bull market. Those thoughts even creep into my head quite a bit. I try to remain as unbiased as possible, but what I see now is a lot of really logical reasons why we could be reaching the bottom here. Models that have been back tested for 10 years, like the stock to flow model, showing that we're in a bottoming zone. Of course, that doesn't mean that we immediately pump. We could stay down here for quite a while, but I do believe the risk reward ratio here is getting a lot better. In the end, when we turn bullish again, as we will, as we have each and every time here in crypto land, it's just a question of where your entries are. And at this particular price point, it's starting to feel like everything is on a ridiculous fire sale. So no matter which projects you're interested in, whether those are the parachains of Polkadot and Kusama, whether you're looking at other L1s, whether you're looking at just Bitcoin, which of course is starting to look like it's that juicy buy territories. Personally, I'm starting to look at Bitcoin as well as entering into a really interesting buy zone. The point is that there is a lot of logic here that we're entering into a macro bottoming phase, that if we are able to grind out and go sideways and reaccumulate on these lows, that we'd be able to build up on strength, and that would be incredibly bullish. However, right now, things are looking super bearish. And that's particularly why I get excited, because when things look really, really bad, tends to be the absolute best opportunities. Just like in crypto, when things look absolutely indestructible, when it looks like there's endless money to be made, that tends to be the top signal. So again, do with that what you will. This is my video playing out why I believe that Bitcoin is probably in a bottoming formation. Hopefully we can see some confirmation around this. And quite frankly, I believe that this cycle still has yet another massive leg in it. And that's what I'm holding on for. Again, like I've said, the best way to prepare for these moments is to take profits on the way up. And if you're still here and you're watching this video now, I bet this will be inscribed in your brain next time, that when we are blessed with more bullishness, those altcoins go up 5, 10, 20x from their current positions, that you'll take profits and put them off to the side so that when these moments happen, you'll have some capital on the side to deploy when you get those ridiculously juicy 80, 90% discounts on high quality projects. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. As always, if you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and put that bell notification on. With that said, my name's Elio Trades. You can find me on Twitter at Elio Trades. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.